There are roads in Okinawa where drivers refuse to stop at night. Not because they're dangerous, not because they're poorly maintained, but because sometimes someone is standing beside the road. A woman, dressed completely in white. She doesn't wave. She doesn't ask for help. She simply watches. And if you see her in your rearview mirror, there is one thing you're never supposed to do. Don't look back. It was just after midnight when Sergeant Thomas Reed first saw her. He had been stationed on Okinawa for several months and was driving back to his quarters after a late shift. It had been raining earlier that evening. The road was wet. The jungle on either side was almost completely black. His headlights illuminated only a few dozen yards ahead. Thomas turned on the radio. Static. He changed the station. More static. Then silence. He switched it off. That's when he saw her. A woman standing beside the road. She was wearing white. Thomas immediately slowed down. She looked completely out of place. There were no houses nearby, no street lights, no reason for anyone to be standing there at that hour. Thomas rolled down his window slightly. "Are you okay?" The woman didn't respond. She simply stood there. Her long white clothing moved gently in the wind. Thomas stopped the car. He looked at her more carefully. She appeared to be young, maybe in her 20s. Her hair was long and black. Her face was turned away. "Do you need a ride?" The woman slowly turned her head. Thomas felt something change inside him. Her face was expressionless. Not sad, not frightened, just empty. Then she raised one hand. She pointed behind Thomas. He looked into the rearview mirror. Nothing. And he looked back toward the woman. She was gone. Thomas drove away. He didn't tell anyone. The next morning, he mentioned it casually to another Marine. The Marine's expression changed. "You saw her?" Thomas laughed. Apparently, the Marine didn't laugh. "Where?" Thomas described the road. The Marine stared at him. "Don't stop there again." "Why?" The Marine hesitated. "Because people have seen her before." "Who? Locals?" Thomas shrugged. "What's the story?" The Marine lowered his voice. "They call her the White Woman." Thomas eventually learned that the road passed through an area that had seen heavy fighting during the Battle of Okinawa. In 1945, American forces had advanced through the southern part of the island. Japanese troops had established defensive positions throughout the hills, caves, tunnels, machine gun positions. The area had become a killing ground, and civilians were trapped between the armies. Thousands died. Thomas had seen photographs, but he had never connected those photographs to the road he drove every night. Until he met an Okinawan taxi driver named Sato. Thomas asked him about the woman. Sato immediately became serious. "My grandmother saw her." "When?" "After the war." Thomas smiled. "How long after?" Sato looked at him. "Not long." "What happened?" Sato hesitated. "She was looking for her family." Thomas frowned. "What family?" Sato looked toward the hills. "Her children." According to Sato's grandmother, The woman had been a young mother during the Battle of Okinawa. When American forces approached the area, she fled with her children toward the hills. She never reached safety. The family disappeared. Nobody knew exactly what happened, but afterward local people began seeing a woman walking along the same road, always at night, always wearing white, always looking toward the hills. At first, people assumed she was a survivor searching for relatives. Then someone realized something. The woman had been dead for years. Thomas didn't believe the story, not really, but he started noticing things. Every time he drove that road after midnight, his radio stopped working. Every time. And sometimes he would see footprints in the wet road. One night, Thomas stopped. He stepped outside. The road was empty, but there were footprints. They continued along the road, then stopped directly beside the driver's door. Thomas stared at them. There were no footprints leading toward the road. No footprints leading away, just a line of wet footprints, as if someone had been walking beside his car. A week later, Thomas saw the woman again. This time she was standing in the middle of the road. He slammed on the brakes. The car stopped inches from her. She didn't move. Thomas stared through the windshield. "Get out of the road." Nothing. Then she slowly raised her hand. She pointed toward the passenger seat. Thomas looked. There was nothing there. Then he heard something. A child's voice from inside the car. "Mommy." Thomas froze. The woman outside began walking toward him. Slowly. Her face was still expressionless. Thomas locked the doors. The woman reached the passenger window. She placed one hand against the glass and whispered, "Where are my children?" Thomas couldn't move. Then the woman disappeared. The child's voice disappeared with her. Thomas drove directly back to base. He didn't sleep. The next morning he found Sato. He told him everything. Sato listened quietly. Then he asked, "Did she touch the window?" Thomas nodded. Sato looked frightened. "Then she knows you can see her." "What does that mean?" Sato didn't answer. Instead, he told Thomas something his grandmother had always said. "The white woman doesn't appear to everyone. She appears to people who are looking for something." Thomas frowned. "I'm not looking for anything." Sato looked at him. "Are you sure?" That question stayed with Thomas, because there was something he hadn't told anyone. His younger brother had died years earlier. Thomas had never fully accepted it. He had spent years wondering whether he could have done something differently, whether he could have saved him, whether he should have been there. And now, he wondered if the woman had somehow sensed it. Maybe she wasn't looking for her children. Maybe she was looking for people who carried the same grief. 3 nights later, Thomas drove the road again. He knew he shouldn't, but he wanted answers. At exactly 12:43 a.m., the radio turned on by itself. Static filled the car. Then a woman's voice came through. Very faint. "Help me." Thomas stopped the car. The voice repeated, "Help me." Then another voice, a child's, "Mommy?" Thomas looked toward the road. The white woman stood there. But this time, she wasn't alone. 3 small figures stood behind her. Children Holding hands, Thomas stepped out of the car. The woman looked at him, then pointed toward the jungle. She walked off the road. Into the darkness, Thomas followed. Thomas could hear the children's footsteps behind him, but whenever he turned, nobody was there. The woman continued ahead. Eventually, they reached a small clearing. There was an old stone marker there, half buried in vegetation. Thomas wiped the dirt away. He couldn't read the Japanese writing. Then he noticed something beneath the stone. A child's shoe, old, covered in mud. Thomas looked at the woman. She was staring at the shoe. Then she looked at Thomas, and for the first time, her face changed. She looked sad, almost human. She whispered, "Thank you." Then the children appeared, standing beside her. 3 children, all wearing old Okinawan clothing. The woman took their hands and began walking into the jungle. Thomas watched them disappear into the darkness. Then he heard something behind him, a rifle bolt being pulled back. He turned. There was nobody there. Thomas ran. He didn't stop until he reached his car. When he looked back toward the jungle, the road was empty. He got inside, started the engine. The radio came on. But this time there was no static. There was music, an old Japanese song. Thomas drove away. He never saw the white woman again. Years later, Thomas returned to Okinawa as a civilian. He found the road. Much of the area had changed. New buildings, new roads, modern lights. But the old jungle remained. He asked a local historian about the stone marker. The historian recognized the description. Then he showed Thomas an old photograph. It was taken shortly after the Battle of Okinawa. The photograph showed a group of civilians standing near the same hill. Among them was a young woman. Thomas stared at the photograph. She was wearing white, and standing beside her were 3 children. Thomas asked, "What happened to them?" The historian looked at him. "They died during the battle." Thomas felt a chill. "All 4? The historian nodded. Nobody knows exactly where. Thomas returned home. He kept the photograph. For years, it sat in a box. Until one night, he finally looked at it again. Something was different. He was certain of it. There had been 4 people in the photograph. The woman, the 3 children. But now, there was someone else. A man standing behind them. Thomas leaned closer. The man's face was difficult to see, but he was wearing a Japanese soldier uniform. Thomas recognized him. It was the same Japanese soldier from his dreams. The soldier who had appeared in the caves. The soldier who had pointed toward the darkness. Then he noticed something written on the back. A date? June 22nd, 1945. The same date associated with the cave. The same date connected to the missing patrol. The same date that appeared again and again in stories. Thomas finally understood. The spirits weren't appearing randomly. They were connected. The soldier, the patrol, the cave, the white woman, they were all part of the same unfinished story. And whatever had happened during those final days of the Battle of Okinawa had never truly ended. And that is the legend of the White Woman of Hacksaw Ridge. A story passed from generation to generation, Maybe she's a ghost. Maybe she's a memory. Maybe she's the embodiment of thousands of mothers who lost their children during one of the bloodiest battles of the Pacific. Or maybe something really does walk those roads at night, looking for the children she lost, waiting for someone to stop, waiting for someone to listen, waiting for someone to say, "I found you." So if you're ever driving through the old battlefields of southern Okinawa after midnight, and you see a woman dressed in white standing beside the road, keep driving. Don't stop. Don't speak. And whatever you do, don't look in the rear view mirror. Because if you do, you may discover that the woman isn't following you. She's sitting in the back seat. And she's holding the hand of a child. Your child.